Oh, good morning, good morning. Happy Easter. Welcome to all of you here and to all of those in Zoom land. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Shirley Angel Love, and I have to tell you a quick little story. Yesterday morning, I got up and got dressed in this, and I thought it was Sunday. So I was all ready to come, and I would have been disappointed to get here and none of you were here. So when I walked into the kitchen, one of my daughters said, "Well, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to church." "Oh, Mom, it's Saturday." So that's the little joke on me. We do have a few announcements on this April 9th. Early Birds meets Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Zoom, and the link is in your weekly email and on the website. We have some upcoming speakers, and they are on the 16th, that'll be next Sunday, Peggy Shin. And on the 23rd will be Reverend Kamatara from Albuquerque. And on the 30th, Reverend Bonnie from Center of Spiritual Living. And then we are still meeting on the Thursday evening group. We meet in the fellowship hall, some of us, and some are on Zoom. And we are hearing audios by different wonderful speakers. The most recent we had was Lisa Rankin, and that was wonderful. So if you would like to join on Zoom, it's never too late, and you can get in touch with Dr. Edward or Cleona. And then we have our lunch bunch coming up on the 12th, this coming Wednesday. We meet at Cracker Barrel at 11:30, and you're welcome to come. Okay. The Board of Trustees also meets this coming Wednesday at 6:30, and you're invited to join. It's also on Zoom. Then we have dowsing with Jean Granger, and that is April 15th, 1:30 to 4:30. And the love offering for that is $25. Oh, goody. And then it says we're going to have a April ice cream social and movie matinee. And the movie is going to be The Shack. So that will be good. And then New Thought Ladies Luncheon is later on, April 27th, and this is when Unity, Center for Spiritual Living, and Wellspring ladies get together and enjoy lunch at Center for Spiritual Living. And last but not least, and the most wonderful, is that we have every Tuesday, we meet at 4:30, and this is the time when we pray together for your prayer requests. We pray with you, and that is at 4:15. And at that time, it might be well for you to sit in quietness and be in prayer with them. For we know that there's one spirit and energy of prayer knows no limits. And so at this time, we will have our invocation. Oh, what a beautiful morning. What a beautiful day. Great Spirit, Mother, Father, God, we welcome your presence all around us, everywhere present always, and within each of us this very moment, which is the ever-present now, wherever we are. We are so thankful for the resurrection power that was manifested over 2,000 years ago by you, Master Jesus. And grateful too that you said that that same Spirit that was and is you is also in us. We welcome the beings of light in the realms of illumined truth, all the ascended masters, the angels, to be in this very room right now. As we experience this ever-loving, ever-healing presence right now, our hearts are open to receive love, healing, peace, confidence, and assurance. With open hearts and mind, we know we are receiving all that you have for us through music, the message, and through the living Spirit in each of us. How wonderful to be resurrected together in unity. And we say together, and so it is. And so now we will say our vision, our mission, and our affirmation. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. And our affirmation: the blooming of flowers and trees around shows us that the Spirit expresses effortlessly in nature. We affirm and acknowledge that the same Spirit expresses through each of us, bringing our magnificence for all to see. And so it is. That's a wonderful affirmation. And so now it's time to have our special music. I'll bet that's Mr. Randy.
Good morning. What a beautiful invocation that you chose. That was just lovely. And it's perfect for this morning. It's going to be 83 today. Not in here, but outside.
Thank you so much. Our reading this morning is taken from The Way of Mastery, which in it are the treasured teachings of Yeshua ben Joseph, we know as Jesus. one of the greatest masters humankind has ever known. These teachings were given during the years of 1994 and 1997. Easter is your birthday. Easter is the time to celebrate that the crown of thorns has been removed because you have chosen to think only loving thoughts and that you have remembered the power given in love. There's only peace. The love there is, in love, there's only the infinitude of pure spirit. In love is Christ restored to your consciousness. Make a pilgrimage to your heart of yourself by looking upon all that you see this day and seeing its beauty and its harmlessness. By knowing that you are looking out through the eyes of the risen Christ. You are the one who with me, Jesus says, has overcome the world. What can there be left to do but to celebrate with your brothers and sisters? What can be left but to laugh and sing and play and remember quiet devotion, the love your Creator has always had for you? The only choice that matters is before you each moment, as is always, love or fear, resurrection or crucifixion, joy or suffering, or unlimitedness or smallness. The choice is always yours. Peace, beloved friends. Peace to the only begotten of God, the resurrected Christ in each of you. And so it is my privilege and honor to welcome you, dear brother Randy.
Thank you. It's a beautiful reading. I love how everything just dovetails in together. Spirit always at work, always. She had asked me yesterday if I had any reading in mind, but all I had to do was just to tell her what the theme was, and she found the perfect thing that just dovetails. So it's beautiful. This morning, as I opened my back door, I like to stick my nose out, see what the weather's going to be like, and I heard the mockingbird. Anybody been hearing them lately? Just nonstop, and so that's why I wanted to sing that song. Morning Has Broken. You know, most of the country, they don't have mockingbirds like we do. They don't understand what it's like in the middle of the night to hear them. There's an old Native American legend that talks about how one day there was a big forest fire, and all of the animals fled in terror in all directions because it was a very violent fire. Suddenly, the jaguar sees a hummingbird pass over his head, but in the opposite direction towards the fire. So the hummingbird flies into the fire, and whatever happened, he would not stop. And moments later, the jaguar sees him pass overhead again, this time in the different direction, the one that the jaguar was walking. And he observed this coming and going until he decided to finally say, "Hey, brother hummingbird, what is going on? What's this bizarre behavior about? What are you doing?" The hummingbird says, "I'm going to the lake. I drink the water with my beak and I throw it on the fire to extinguish it." The jaguar laughs and he says, "Oh, are you crazy? Do you really think you can put out that big fire with your own little small beak?" "No," says the hummingbird. "No, in fact, I know that I can't, but the forest is my home. It feeds me, it shelters me and my family, and I'm very grateful for that." And I help the forest grow by pollinating its flowers, and I'm part of her, and the forest is part of me. I know that I can't put out the fire, but I must do my part. At that moment, the forest spirits, they're listening, and they hear the hummingbird say this, and they were moved by this, by the hummingbird's devotion to the forest. And miraculously, they sent a torrential downpour that put an end to the great fire. So when Native American grandmothers, when they tell this to the children, they say, do you want to attract miracles into your life? Well, then you have to do your part to make it happen. You have no responsibility to save the world or find solutions to all of its problems, but to attend to your particular personal corner of the universe. And as each person does that, the world saves itself. There's an old proverb that says, just when the caterpillar thought the world was ending, it turned into a butterfly. That's why I wore my butterfly shoes today, But think about that butterfly born a tiny little egg, and it becomes a caterpillar. Caterpillars, I don't know if you've noticed, but they're born to consume. In fact, just this morning, before we drove over, I was picking little caterpillars off of my kale and collard greens. Eating machines, they really are. And a caterpillar grows and splits its skin and sheds its skin maybe about 4 or 5 times during its brief lifetime. Food that it eats at this time is it's stored later to use when it's an adult. A caterpillar can grow 100 times their size during this stage. A monarch butterfly egg is the size of a pinhead, and the caterpillar that hatches from this tiny egg isn't much bigger, but it will grow up to 2 inches long in several weeks before forming a pupa. Caterpillars, they just really, really fascinate me because the change that happens inside of the chrysalis or the cocoon, very slow, very, very gradual, but many of the organs are hidden in the caterpillar, and they take time to form a new form within that chrysalis. In other words, the old body is broken down into what's called imaginal cells. Anybody ever heard that word, imaginal cells? I love that word. But not all of its tissues are destroyed. Some of the old tissues pass into the insect's new body. For instance, one imaginal cell will become a wing. Another will become a leg, an antenna, proboscis. Oh, I love it. In other words, inside of the chrysalis of a butterfly, the butterfly literally turns to liquid form and is remade, completely broken down, reconstructed as a butterfly by these imaginal cells who remember its new form. Wow. A couple of days before the butterfly emerges, the chrysalis changes colors. The butterfly's patterns they can actually be seen through the chrysalis because it gets thinner. And the butterfly breaks out of its protective chrysalis and cocoon, and it moves away the tombstone, as it were, and pumps blood into the newly formed wings. It is resurrected. Then it flies away, reformed, renewed in life. Everything happens in cycles. As in the life of a butterfly, as in humans, the seasons, birth, life, death, a spiritual awakening. What happens is when we allow ourselves to contemplate something larger than our lives, we start to become that vision, and we find ourselves expanding into that vision. We expand into our possibilities. We expand on what we are grateful for and appreciate, which, as we know, brings even more to appreciate. Eventually, within this cycle of expansion, is the resurrection, the emergence of the new self. Resurrection means to be taken out of, to be lifted out of, and released from the old. And because within each of us, in every situation, within every seed and every bulb, there is a potential for something beautiful to unfold. In order for that to happen, of course, there has to be a death to something that is old or gone stagnant, so that something is new can emerge. In the more extreme examples, say a forest fire burns all the trees so that new trees can emerge in the sunlight. In fact, some tree species, I think the sequoias do this. The pine cone is actually required to be scorched before it will release the seeds that will form a new tree. In Hawaii, the lava flows can take out an entire landscape, and then eventually the green life will emerge through the black hardened reminder of the destruction. So what breaks us free from our shells, from our chrysalis, the old self? Well, it's the idea of a larger selves, of something greater that is coming along. And it's always an inside job, my friends, always an inside job, just like the caterpillar, just like the butterfly, just like us. No one can crack you open. In fact, if they do, they'll kill something inside of you. What science has learned about eggs is that whether it's a chicken or a duck or a goose or a cocoon, that if you try to help it open up before it's time, well, what's inside will not survive. Eggs and caterpillars need the right combination of factors like heat and sunlight before they can resurrect. Likewise, we humans need the right atmosphere. We need encouragement. We need support. We need, in order to change and heal, we usually have to learn something new, which is why reading as much as you can, listening to great talks on YouTube, reading great books. There's a lot of books over there right next door you can look at. So what has to change? What's the process like for us as people, for as humans? Well, first of all, it has to be in our mind clearly that we actually do need to change. You know, we have signs from the universe, signs from God, signs from our friends who don't call us, who ghost us. You know, we think something's wrong with them. Eventually we realize we're the common denominator in all of that. So we go, oh, maybe we need to change. So first that needs to happen. And next we have to know there is a divine intelligence and wisdom available to us, and we're part of that. We have to know that we can use this power, the power of creation behind every single atom in the universe, every star, every egg, every cell. Then we need some idea of what we want to become. Once we shed the old idea of ourselves, the shell of ourselves, when we go back to these imaginal cells, I just love those words because it's a great example of the metaphysical understanding of how spirit works in and through us. Ernest Holmes was always talking about this substance back of all things. And I saw an article just the other day that said, in fact, there is nothingness. It's this filament that looks like foam. I'm like, well, there it is. That's what Ernest Holmes was talking about back in the 1930s. So these imaginal cells, I think that they hold the idea of our best potential. Like, for instance, the recent loss that I experienced back in last year after several years of caregiving through the ravages of Parkinson's and dementia and a pandemic pretty much left me an empty shell of a man, as one friend recently told me I was. Not now. He said, back in October, he's a Jamaican guy. Randy, you an empty shell of a man. Thank you, I think. But as you know, no one can thrive in an empty eggshell or a discarded cocoon, except maybe a hermit crab. But even they have to seek other new shells once they outgrow their little homes. I used to raise hermit crabs, and so I would try to. The thing about hermit crabs is that they used to look for other shells that were bigger. Now they're getting things like soda bottles and water bottles, hence our new world. But anyway, so I knew I had to use my own imaginal cells, the part of me that has always held the potential of who I am in partnership with creation, in order to become who I was put here to be and who I came here to be. I realized I had to transform. I had to change. And the way I had to do that was an inside job, like the steps that I'm talking about now. First, to imagine I need to change, to next, to know that there is a divine intelligence and wisdom that will help me do it. And then next, to figure out who I wanted to be, how I wanted to be. So sometimes life's pain is why we change. Sometimes it's a spiritual calling. Whatever the reason, welcome that call to transformation. Welcome that change that comes to you. And once we have this idea that there is something larger than ourselves. We have to surrender to that infinite intelligence that is behind all creation, the great spirit, the great mystery, whatever you want to call it, God, whatever you want to call it. We have to surrender and know that we cannot do this alone. We have to let go, just like the cycle of the butterfly. But we have to also break out of that new shell by letting go of grief, of loss, of shame, of guilt, of blame. Until we do, it's like we still carry the armor and the shields of old beliefs and memories that no longer serve us. No one likes finding a piece of shell in their eggs, if you know what I mean. And at last, we can experience our own resurrection, our own rebirth, and emergence into our new possibilities of ourselves. Like the reading was saying, once we do have that resurrection, then we're more open to love, to joy, to connection, gratitude for the smallest of flowers, like those beautiful roses that are out front. You know, during the pandemic, I was so grateful for whomever was leaving these little painted stones. Did anybody see little painted rocks? They put little messages on them like "Don't give up," and they would paint little things like the alien from Roswell, and I would find them on mailboxes and on curbs as I'm walking early in the morning. And those little experiences of joy shifted my perception enough to one of appreciation. And I love the concept of little joys everywhere, like those flowers, or like the beautiful weather that we're having today. But we can't grow beyond our own definition of ourselves. We cast spells on ourselves constantly by saying, well, I'm just lazy, or, I'm a procrastinator. I'm too old to do that. I'm overweight. I'm bad with money. I'm bad at love. I'm stupid. I'm bad with technology, blah, 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 blah. Those are spells that we keep ourselves in the same situation. Next time you catch yourself saying that about yourself, smash that old piece of shell. And this reminds me so much of Marianne Williamson's words from A Return to Love. This is a beautiful passage that has been attributed to Nelson Mandela, but it's actually from Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love. And she says in it, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant or gorgeous or talented or fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So in this season of renewal and resurrection, do the work it takes to shed your old skin, our limiting beliefs. Open your heart to joy, happiness, contentment. We have wings. We have wings, and we are beings of light going from lifetime to lifetime, like pollinating flower to flower, gathering and sharing all life has to offer us. What a gift we've been given, truly. We're spirit in nature. We're eternal. We're ageless, deathless, and constantly living, resting, dying, renewing, learning what color our patterns are in our own wings and in our new lives. We are the seed of hope that breaks through that lava. The butterfly who must take in enough breaths that its wings expand enough to break free of the cocoon, then warms its wing muscles in the sunlight before taking flight. So solar scientists have been studying some specific species of butterflies, trying to figure out how is it that butterflies with those tiny little cells they have on their wings take in so much radiant sunlight. They haven't figured it out yet, but they're working on it. You know, there's this idea that every single cell in the human body replaces itself over a period of 7 years. We've all heard that. This means that not even the smallest part of you, that now was who you were 7 years ago. So whatever you're holding on to, let it go, because your body already did. You know, I keep telling my body, can I just lose a little more weight this grow a little taller? There's this beautiful poem that I found by the poet John Seuss. And it says, to be of the earth is to know the restlessness of being a seed, the darkness of being planted, the struggle toward the light, the pain of growth into the light, the joy of bursting and bearing fruit, the love of being food for someone, the scattering of your own seeds, the decay of the seasons, the mystery of death, the miracle of birth, the feeling of loving another, the security of knowing you are loved. So as you go out to this next week, think of what the butterfly has to go through and liquefy. Think of what the story of Easter, the death and the doubt and the surrender, and eventually the removal of the stone to emerge into a new life, to a new way, to a new experience. And by the light that Jesus did in the story of Easter, his light inspired everyone. You know, there's we are the light of the world. We literally are the light of the world. So go and take flight. Let your wings catch some sunlight and catch the wind and prosper. I'm going to end with a different kind of meditation, a different kind of prayer I'd like to share with you all. So if I could ask you, put your both feet on the ground, and maybe if you're comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. What I'm going to ask you to do is to bless the people around you. If someone is sitting in front of you, bless them. To bless in this case means to recognize the good. I want us to recognize the good in that person's life. If someone is behind you, I want you to bless them and know that something good is happening in their life. Now bless the people in your own life, the people who are close to you, the friends, the neighbors, the family members, the loved ones, and bless them too. Bless them and know for them something good is happening in their life. Know that something glorious and wonderful is unfolding for them now. Know that they are overcoming something, that they are healing and moving through whatever sadness or grief or challenges that they may have. Know that they have already moved through and it has already taken place. And that life is glorious for them, that they are the light of the world, that they are the one life taking form. They are God's idea of a really good time showing up in form. To bless another always comes back to us. It's easy for me to know that good is happening in your life, but if I know that good is happening in your life, it must be the same for me. What we give out comes back multiplied, pressed down and running over. So to bless is to be blessed. So let your light shine, that it passes your body. It passes this area close to you that we call the etheric body. Let it spread out through this room. Let this light so bless not only everyone in this room, but everyone who will come after and everyone you encounter today. Let this light move out from us and go before us into the world as a healing balm, as a soft note that we get to sing once again. Let us remember to be restored and to revive the deep truth that has always been with us, that we are the light of this world. Let us remember this day by day, week by week, month by month, season by season, but also today, breath by breath. Let's take just a couple of moments to be still see our light just permeating from this building through these walls over the city, over the state, over the country, over the seas, over the world, and out into the cosmos. And just be still with that a moment. I'd like to add a special thank you for the birds providing the music for us as we sit in meditation. And so it is. Thank you.
You here are such a blessing. Take that and fill yourself to overflowing with it. So as we acknowledge and receive our virtual and in-person gifts, we give thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both part of the one flow. We affirm that we are also part of that flow. We bless these gifts and know they are multiplied throughout our community. Well, there's a number of folks that contributed today to our service. Thank you, each one. And we thank you for those of you in Zoom that have joined us here in the sanctuary. We have joined you in your home. So it's all one. There's no space or time, is there? And so lastly, you can stay around in Zoom a while and visit with each other. Or you can, those of you here can go next door to our fellowship hall and have some time together and some goodies. Oh my, and Sharon said lots of goodies today. So you better stick around. Okay, well, let's stand and if you're able, and read with me the benediction, followed by the congregational song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world. And so it is.